Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Again, I have a very special guest today. This one is very special because if you're talking of someone that have experienced two sides of things, it is Uche. So I brought Uche here today to tell us about our experience living in regional QLD and Melbourne. So I'll allow her introduce herself and she will explain how she lived in both states and why she moved and everything. So yeah, Uche, please introduce yourself.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Uche, and my YouTube channel name is called Niger Mom in Australia. And here I talk about tips on how you can move to Australia and lifestyle too. So when we moved to Australia, I was living in Toowoomba, my precious Toowoomba. And Toowoomba is one of the regional areas in Queensland. And my husband got another job that transferred us to Melbourne, which is Victoria. So we moved to Melbourne ending last year, that's Christmas time.
Yeah.
And apart from the job, we also wanted to feel what a township, that's Metropolitan, feels like. That's one of the reasons too that we left Toowoomba. Apart from that, I want to go back.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining. And yeah, guys, Uche has a YouTube channel, Ninja Mom in Australia. I think our channel was the first ever channel I discovered of someone living in Australia. So if you are
Really?
the OG, so if you're not following Ninja Mom in Australia, you are missing out because she makes video on immigration, like if you need all those tips, life in Melbourne, where to buy turkey, the turkey you cannot see in this Brisbane. Yeah,
I'm-
no, but you need a ton of turkey. Go and follow us. We can tell you where to get things. But yeah, thanks, Uche, for taking us through. See, in this video, we are just all here to learn because I've
yeah,
never lived in regional Queensland and I've not lived in Melbourne. But I also want to understand what the difference it is living in those two states. We'll go over a few topics. I will just like ask Uche a few questions here and there. But
yeah.
then the floor is over to you, Uche. I don't like this topic is your topic. Please do
Thanks for
justice.
having me.
Yeah, so I think the first thing we want to talk about is weather. So if you compare it, like we're chit chatting just before we started recording, and
Yeah.
then we're saying, "Oh, I went to stand up yesterday. It was freezing. It's still in Queensland, it's still in Queensland actually."
Yes.
So what has been your experience living in regional Queensland, specifically Toowoomba? So
Yeah.
Uche is living in Toowoomba. So now that you've moved to Melbourne, which we know is very cold, what
Yeah.
has it been like for you?
Well, for weather, right?
Yeah,
The
weather.
the weather is kind of similar. Yes, the weather of Toowoomba is kind of similar, although Melbourne, we all know that Melbourne has four seasons in one day. So you can leave your room now to go to your car and everywhere is sunshine. In the next 2 minutes before you drive out of your suburb to another place, it's drizzling. Before you move to the next place, it's no longer raining. So Melbourne has a very funny weather
By
that you cannot predict. Yes, I tell whenever I'm going out, I have my umbrella and I have a jacket or a jumper just in
wow.
case the weather changes because you might be hot now and few minutes it's really, really cold. And we all know that we're in winter, so it's really freezing.
Hmm.
And one thing I noticed as well in Melbourne is that Melbourne has wet weather a lot. It rains a lot here in Melbourne. Then for
It's not
Toowoomba,
been raining here. It's not been raining here.
so
It does not even
almost
been.
every week, almost every day, it rains in Melbourne. It's always raining. It's
And I think
always
it's similar
raining.
to Sydney as well because every time in Sydney it's raining in the
It
news.
is it is raining.
Oh
And
wow.
for Toowoomba weather, Toowoomba, it's cold. It's as cold as Melbourne, but not, let's say if Toowoomba will be having like -4, Melbourne will be doing -2. It's cold, the same similar. So someone living in Toowoomba would actually adjust as per weather in Melbourne. Due to Toowoomba is in the hillside, so a lot of fogs, a lot of cold weather. Sometimes you wake up in the morning, you will see all the ice in your car that you have to use water to remove the ice. So, in terms of where you want to stay as per cold, if you can live in Melbourne, you can also live in Toowoomba when it comes to,
And if you
yeah,
don't want to live, we don't want cold, just come to Brisbane. This is how I went to church.
yeah.
I just
But,
came out from church. So
but
if you
you know,
don't
a lot
want
of people want where they will wear jackets and show that, oh, we are living in abroad.
to wear
So,
jackets, I think you better come to Brisbane. The weather here is hot. Like this is winter. I know. Can you wear this to church like this? I did not take jacket and
in
I've been
Melbourne, no, you can't.
If you want your Nigeria weather, you want Africa weather, come to Brisbane. But yeah, so Uche, thanks for that. I think the other thing we wanted to know about regional Queensland versus Melbourne would be what the cost of living is, and if you can please cover up on what rent is like. Was it, how was it easy for you guys to transition? You know, moving from here over there. Was it easy
Yeah,
to get a rent? Did you guys buy, like, whatever you feel up to sharing with us? So you
yeah.
talk about renting, buying food, kids, like schooling and things like that, what the cost is like. So over to
Okay.
you.
So I'll start with the regional Queensland. So
Okay.
for me, cost of living in regional area is way much cheaper. And I also advise people when you move new, except if you're coming through like an employer's visa or you have a particular job already waiting for you in the city, or you have people that can harbor you in the city, regional area is way more better to start your life. Number
Mm,
one,
mm,
the work-life balance there is quite easy to enroll your kids in school and get away with things, and every other thing is quite easy for me. I'm talking with my own personal experience
so,
too. Then for cost of living, I want to say that when we're in Queensland, Toowoomba, uh, what we spend, I shop fortnightly, and what we spend for family of five is at least 150 cheaper, $150 cheaper than in
that's still so.
Melbourne. Yeah, so in Queensland, we are using like 450 Australian dollars a fortnight,
Mm,
minus the beef, the
yeah,
turkey, and all that, because we buy those ones in bulk. But like food, junk, school stuff, and everything. But
mm,
since we moved to Melbourne, I noticed that we are spending more on feeding,
yeah,
minus the same chicken, turkey, beef, and the rest. Yeah.
mm,
So, and when it comes to variety of food, you will see that in Melbourne. In Toowoomba, we don't really have African shop. So I
oh.
go to Inala. I
Oh, you
normally
come over
shop.
to Brisbane all the
Yes,
way. Oh
yes.
wow.
You would see African shops in Toowoomba, but they are not Nigerian shops.
Oh,
You will see
oh,
Congolese shops, you will see Sudanese shop, and
oh.
recently some Asians have started selling
Nigerian food.
Nigerian food stuff.
Oh
But
wow.
what we do, majorly most of us Nigerians living there, we can buy the little we can buy from other African stores or Asian store. But for every quarter, I come to Brisbane, that's Inala, to
How long
go
is the
buy.
drive down?
From Toowoomba to Brisbane
Nala.
is 1 hour 20 minutes.
Oh, it's not so far.
No, it's not.
That's like going to Gold Coast. It's not so
Yes,
far. Oh
going to
wow.
Gold Coast for you living in Brisbane, but for us from Toowoomba to to Gold Coast is 2 hours 30 minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's what it takes. So when it comes to cost of living, in terms of, like I said, variety of things you would see, I'll give
Yeah.
it to Melbourne that they have that because it's a multicultural
City.
metropolitan city,
Yeah.
unlike in
Toowoomba.
Toowoomba. But saving costs, Toowoomba saved us more cost than here. Like
Mm-hmm.
water bill in Toowoomba for 6 months, because it's the real estate that would be bringing that.
Yeah.
It's like 150 to 200 is the least we
Oh, six
pay.
months.
Yes, 6 months. Here, so we only pay
Oh,
water bills twice in a year, and we have never paid more than 250. It's 150 as at then, and this 2021, 22 is like 200 there about 6 months
yes.
for that. And Melbourne here, I think we're even paying 150 a month for
Exactly. Exactly. Like that's close to what we pay in Brisbane
yeah,
as well.
for water bill.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I would say that was a bit higher as per is electricity in the regional area, because we didn't have like what we had here in Melbourne. There's a lot of companies offering the electricity that if you don't want this one, you can go
Okay.
to this other company. And but in Toowoomba, or if you're living in regional area, you will find out that it's just one particular electricity company that is there. So you don't have options
What?
to leave this one to that to that one. So
Wow.
electricity was kind of high, especially
You know that is
during
every 3 months. I used to change electricity provider every three
that's the
months.
thing. Yes, that's the thing. In Melbourne, we
But
can,
change
even
it
when we are moving, we're like 3 or 4 providers that we have to check and see, okay, which one is way
to
better. But in Toowoomba, it was just one. I can't remember the name again. So
um,
that they're the only one that supply electricity. So for doing the winter like this, and we also opt for every quarter to pay. We don't pay monthly for
um,
that. And the highest we've paid, I think it's $500 or so
per
during
cup.
winter. Yes, that's 3 months.
That's about 150, like one.
Yeah, so we didn't do gas. It's only here in Melbourne that we did gas. The amount they gave us in gas, oh my God, I've told my kids we're going to buy electric heater because we thought the house we rented, we thought what do they call this split that is when you on it is everywhere.
Oh,
What do they call it?
oh,
We didn't know it was using gas, so we thought it was electric.
electricity.
Yeah,
Oh,
so till they hammered us $750 as gas for just this match to make.
750.
Yes. Yeah, so it's so when it comes
That's a
to
lot.
yeah, it is what it is, and it's not as
But
if we're
do
living in
you
the
use gas when you were in Toowoomba?
no, we were not.
Because here we use gas, but our gas is just for hot water. So our gas is like the last one I paid 133 for the quarter for 3 months.
So this our latest bill is $750. And I was telling my husband
Maybe
what
it's cold.
I
Yeah,
was
that's
asking my husband, so what were we doing with the whole thing just for 2 months? So I'm like, nah, it's not gonna
seven.
happen again. Yes, that's
You
what
should
we
talk them.
paid
Are you sure
for.
there's no mistake?
So I don't know. I seriously I don't know
You call
because
them.
he was saying that the gas, because of the heating too of the house, so the gas, the cooking,
Sometimes these people make mistake. Tell them to come and read it.
and everything was 750. So I don't know if it's like you said, I don't know if it's a mistake or not, but
No,
that's
call them.
what
Just call them.
we
That's how
were.
cheap. Because electricity for us, for instance, now for the last one we paid was 400 and something, and like we're in winter as well. We just
Yeah,
got it, so it's understandable. But even if you still add the two together, it's still not 700. So why will you pay only gas 700 and something
yeah, because the heater and the gas were all joined together.
together? Yeah.
And we were not using the heater like maybe on it for the whole day because it's cold. No, we're just using maybe an hour. We will just put it up and time it for 1 hour, then off it again.
Please call them. Just call them. You never know. Just call them that this is outrageous. Like, can they please come and read it and just check? You never know.
Yeah,
Just
yeah. So for rent,
okay.
when we were in Toowoomba, we are in 3 bedroom apartments. It's a unit,
Okay.
and we moved in when it was 315. But we all know that right now the housing crisis.
Yeah.
So as at when we left, the house was for 345 Australian dollars weekly
Quickly. Mm-hmm.
for a 3 bedroom apartment. And in Toowoomba as well, you can always see something of that to up to 370 for a 3 bedroom. Very nice 3 bedroom house you will see for 370
Oh, that's
weekly.
nice.
Then here in Melbourne, when my husband got the job, we started looking for a house. Even though we are still in Australia, it wasn't that easy getting a house in
Even having
Melbourne.
rental history.
Even with the rental history, they didn't want to rent. My husband took a flight twice to Melbourne to do some visual checking because we wanted to do visual check, but they refused. They said they want the person face to face. So he flew down twice to view some houses. And of course, when you view a house, you see over 20 people
And you're not
there.
guaranteed that you
And it's not
spend that
guaranteed
money.
because another thing is he only had an offer letter, but he didn't have any pay slip
I
that
see.
showed that he has started working in Melbourne. So renting in Melbourne was kind of difficult. Luckily for us, we had a friend that just moved from UK too, and they were lucky to got their rental. So she introduced us to their real estate, and the real estate now gave us someone else that agreed to
Give
rent
us
for us. And even before that, we wanted to make things a bit easy for us. We we were proposing to pay 3 months in advance for them just to get something. When we moved to Australia, we did the same thing and it worked for us. So we thought
Yes,
maybe
it will still
it
work.
would it would still work, but we are it's what it is. So the house where we are staying right now is a 4 bedroom apartment, and it's for 560 Australian dollars per week. Another thing, we are planning to, we are still considering whether we are going to build or going to buy.
Mm.
I am a fan of building, but the way the builders and everything, right now.
Mm.
So we've been getting a lot of advice from people that already have their house that it's better to actually buy and don't go
But
through
see,
that
there are
stress
new houses.
of,
Some people have suffered. Like this, our house, for instance, we
yeah,
bought it, right? And then somebody built it less than a year. In 6 months, we bought it. Like, do you
yeah,
understand?
yeah,
Because now people are waiting 2 years, 3 years to get their house built. So, like, I
yes,
just feel you're. And the funny thing is, if you buy the land, you start paying interest, and then you are
yes,
paying rent. Whereas, like the land, the building will take so long, so you are double
yes.
paying rent, paying for your own property as well.
Yeah, we
So,
still talked. Yeah, we still talk about. I still talked about it with my husband this weekend. Was like, whoa, he's not waiting to build anything, because
mm,
my problem is that I always wanted like a bathtub in my own.
you will see. It will take time. I tell people it took us every Saturday for 2 months.
I know.
But
My-
you see, there are some that even from the outside, I'll just tell my husband, please let's just reverse. Cancel this. Me, I'm not entering this house.
Yes, I've been on it. I've been checking, and
But you will
yeah. So
find it's not going to be
yeah.
easy, but you
So
definitely
another
find.
thing I want to mention as per renting is that there's a difference between renting here in Melbourne than in Queensland. Queensland, when you're renting, what you see is what you pay for. But in Melbourne, it is different. Yes,
Ah,
it
why?
is different. This 560 that I mentioned, it's
Yeah.
not what we actually pay. If you calculate it, it's like 605 or 608. They
Why?
charge they charge 31 days per month, even if the month is 29 or 28 or 30. In Melbourne, you pay for 31 days.
Why?
So total, well, I don't know. When we did our first payment, normally we're supposed to pay like 2,200 and something, and they were like, "Oh, you guys did not pay the full is remaining 200." We're like, "No,
Why are you
I
not paying
calculated
weekly? Why are you
560
doing that one?
times 560 times 4 is so you understand."
Yeah.
So they now told me, do this, calculate that, and I was furious. Then I asked one of my friend that is already here, and he said, "Oh yes, they calculate the 31 days that." And I said, "But that's not the same way in Queensland." He told me that it's the same thing, just that Queenslanders do what you see is what you pay, but at the end of the year, you still pay the same thing with with yes, with Melbourne. Yeah. So they charge 31 days. So roughly every month we pay 242,433 Australian dollars. So
Wow.
if you divide that in a week, you see it's 600 and something we're paying for a 4 bedroom apartment.
No, but when we were paying, like we used to pay weekly. Like it never came to us paying monthly. We used to pay after the
Melbourne
month.
Melbourne pays monthly.
Oh, so okay, now you have. Yeah, yeah. I thought paying weekly is an Australian thing. Why are we paying monthly?
I don't know. I asked the same thing, but they said you can also opt out for fortnightly, but you hardly see. So you would see most real estate will tell you monthly. Yes, you might get for fortnightly, but in Melbourne they pay monthly more. Then
Wow,
yeah. So it was surprising too for me.
that's
So as
surprising.
for school for kids, so
Yeah.
when we arrived in Australia, my kids went to public school. I
Mm-hmm.
allowed them to go to public school. Then in high school, we moved to a private school. And I really am not into a very big private school thing. I always wanted a small private school that would have few people so my kids can be well taught and also have an opportunity to interact and learn in a close knitted environment.
Yeah.
So it was kind of easy to get a private school in regional Queensland. That's Toowoomba.
Yeah.
than what we saw and met to in Melbourne. So all my mind was like, okay, oh, it's holiday because we came in almost Christmas.
Yeah. I
A school
remember.
holiday by January. We'll just go to the school. We have already researched the schools we wanted to our kids to go to. And I
Mm-hmm.
wanted a Christian school. And by that first week of January, I started calling the school. Nobody even answered. Till 1 week to
Last
yes,
week,
yeah,
January.
till the first, yeah, last week to school resumption.
Oh, okay.
And I can tell you that almost all the schools around our suburb and 7 kilometers, nobody is available. They are all booked. So
They
they
don't
will
have
tell you no, yeah,
even private.
even private. Yes. So we have too many people in Melbourne, unlike regional area where they would beg you, not really beg, but anytime you come in, as long as
Yes,
your
even
kids are
for
doing well in
private
school
schools.
and you
Yeah.
have everything, it's easy. But the neighboring suburb
Okay.
close to mine,
Mm-hmm.
it's 15 minutes drive. I went all the way to that. And I still could not register myself, enroll my kids in school. So we have to out for public school just for them to start. So
At least then go to waiting list.
then go to waiting list because you have to pay the private school, the Christian school we wanted them to go, said we'll pay $100 for application. Then you have to wait. It's only if someone in that grade opt out and maybe you're the next one in their waiting list, they will call your kids for interview or but if not, there's nothing they can do. So if you're going or if you're coming to Australia and you want to go to a government school, you're covered because whether
If
you
you're
come in 2 days to the end of school, they will definitely take your children. But if you're going for a private school, please go on time and start calling the school. If you're going to,
that.
if you have anybody there to go and do the whole enrollment for you, that will be easy. But if you're going to the regional area, you really don't need to
You have a lot of
stress
options.
yourself because they will definitely take your child. So it was a bit hard for us in Melbourne to get a private school or Christian school for our kids. So we are hoping by now, right now, we've already started calling them that, hey, remember
Are
our,
you in the waiting list already?
yes, yeah.
You
So
still not go to the interview.
that's for next year. That's for next year because the other term has finished. So we're like, okay, let them be in the government school just for this year. So next year, yeah. And the school my first son is going for is just P2 year 9. So he would actually move to another
Thank
school. So yeah, they will all now move to the Christian school that we've made plans for. So for in terms of school fees, it's not the difference is not that much. When my son, because he's the only one that was in high school in Toowoomba,
Yeah.
we were paying like 1,450
For a
per
private school.
term for a private school. Yes,
Oh yeah,
per
okay.
term. Yeah, per term. So if you times it times 4, sorry, I can't do the maths. It
No,
will
no,
give
that's like
you,
no, 1.5 times 4.
yeah,
That's 6,000.
that's 6,000. Yes, but here, the school we are looking out for is 1,800.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
so
that's
the
only
difference is
like
not that. Yeah, the
so,
difference is not that much. So at the end of the day, it's 8,000 per year
yeah,
for
yeah.
each year.
Yes.
Then if you have 2, 3 kids, you have a little bit of, yes, a little bit of, what do they call it again?
I think it's discount. Is there a special name for
Yes,
it?
it's a discount. Yes, that's what I'm trying to look for. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's a discount. So for primary school in Toowoomba,
Yeah.
private school, you can still see from 800 to 1,500 for primary
800.
school. Yes, 800. Yeah, there's a Christian school that is 750 as at the time when we left per
This is
term.
I don't go to Wumba. Even
They
for
are
that
always,
school, you
they
should go
are
to
per term though, and it's a very good Christian school. It was
wow.
750 actually per
Oh.
term. Yeah, so
I don't
that's
think
why I
there's
put it.
anything like that in Brisbane.
Yes, regional area is quite cheaper. You understand? That's why I always preach and tell people if you know you don't have anybody in town, in the city, and there's nothing you're doing there, just go to regional area and
Mhm.
start up your life. If you have saved and you've known the country, you know where you want to move to, then you can now move.
Yeah.
Here in Melbourne is really congested. I won't lie to you. A lot of things, a lot of people. The traffic here, oh my God. I'm always complaining about traffic. My husband would be like, you better start getting used to it. I was like, I ran away from Lagos traffic and I came back here to meet another traffic. Yes, it's
Wow.
not like Lagos
Lagos.
traffic where the cars are not moving, but you would be in traffic.
Traffic.
And
Wow.
when it comes to job, I'm always saying that there's a lot of job in Melbourne. But if you're going to do all these, our healthcare and all that, regional
Mm-hmm.
area is best bet for you because that's where, yes, I
How?
am. I'm in healthcare. Healthcare is not nursing. You understand, like disability, age care, and all that. I can compare with me living in Toowoomba and here. You would see a whole lot of jobs and everything, but there are a lot of people too coming for that same job. Unlike in Toowoomba, where there's still the same a whole lot of people, but the job is always readily available for you to pick up shift and have a longer shift. Like when we
Wow.
moved here, I said, okay, let me give myself some time to rest and start looking for a job. With my years of experience, of course, it won't be easy. It won't be hard for me to get a job, but it was actually a bit hard. I have to be like, Omo, I need to wake up because you
Even
understand. But
after the whole experience, like you've been
after the
doing.
whole after the whole years of experience, you will think that immediately you submit your resume, you're going to just people calling you like that.
Mm-hmm.
You understand, but it's not that
Right.
way. So I also realized that in a big city, they have a lot of agencies running those things. So you get jobs with agencies more than the direct company. This is
There are
my
not a lot
personal
of agencies
experience in
here
case of
because
anybody coming to see this and say, you understand. Yeah. But in Toowoomba, it's the real organization. It's just few
yeah,
agents. Who
because
is even
you
doing
hardly
agency?
hear
Who
agency.
is
You
doing
hear
agency? So that's the same thing. I
you
was
begin like all these companies. You just I know their names. If as I know do the job, I don't hear. I'm tired.
yes,
But
because
agency,
but here it was agency, and at first I was like, no, I don't want to do agency. But when it was done on me, anything, no, you understand. But let it be that. Oh, then so people will tell you because when you're in the regional area, you'll be having the idea, oh, there's a job in the city. Oh, don't worry. When you get there, you're going to. Then I am a living witness that I am there, and I
wow.
know how it's
And
like
it's
to.
overcrowded. So the competition, just like Chema said the other day, like there's
Yes,
competition. So you
there
cannot.
is competition. There is competition. Queensland, when you're in health care assistance or anything like that, they don't care if you have a start for diploma or all that. They pay you according to your rate. In
Wait.
Melbourne, to me, I feel they discriminate. I might be wrong. There are some organizations that will take you, but most of them want you to have a start for.
Oh wow. Because that's the competition we're saying,
Do you
right?
understand?
Like
Most of them want to
if you
start
don't get
for.
better, if you don't improve yourself, you
Exactly.
don't
So
get
even when you're coming with your start three, you're limiting yourself. So you have to go for a start four for some organization. You might see 20 jobs and 15 is asking for start four in disability or age care or home care or youth
means
service,
that
youth
when the
worker.
even people are making team leaders without having any of these things in
Yes,
Queensland.
and in Queensland, there are some organizations too that will take you and say, okay, start job and you get the start three
As you go along, yeah.
as you go along. Yes. So that's the thing. And because we're also in a regional area,
Mm-hmm.
going to work is quite easy, is accessible. You don't
Yeah.
need to drive a very long distance to do your shift. Sure, if your organization offer you a shift of 20 minutes, you'll be calculating, should I do it or should I
Wait.
just abandon it for them? But here, we are begging for a 30-minute shift, as in 30 minutes drive to be closer to you. So I do over 1 hour drive to go for a shift.
Just going or going and coming.
Just going. Yes, I do over 1 hour going on the shift and coming back. So these are the advantage and disadvantage of living in a metropolitan city and living in a regional area. When I was living in Toowoomba, my shift starts 6 o'clock and I wake up like quarter to five, do all the things, leave house quarter to six, and I get there even 5 minutes to take handover. Here, if I have a 7 o'clock shift, I leave, if I don't leave house at least 6 o'clock or 10 to 6, I'll be late.
Wow, wow.
So, so the good thing about the city is that you have a variety of things to do. When it
Mhm.
comes to kids' activities, you see
Yeah,
different things, as in different, unlike when we're in Toowoomba, you will see them, but they are not that much.
yeah.
My kids did karate, they did chess, they did swimming and all that. But here too, they have that and more. Because Toowoomba, Melbourne is multicultural, so there's a lot of
Option.
activities both for
Mm.
family and kids to do.
Wow.
So this is another advantage that, okay, Melbourne is quite a big city, so you have those kind of things there. But when it comes to work-life balance, sometimes after driving for a very long
You
time, you
get
get
sex.
tired and you will not even remember where your kids are. I've been here, and when I was coming, I was telling my husband, "Oh, I'm coming to Melbourne for baby girl
Baby
soft
girl
life."
life.
Man, I have not even done that.
You don't live your baby girl life for Toowoomba. You didn't know.
Every day I've been whinging. I want to go back.
Oh my
It is
god.
beautiful. Guys, don't get me wrong. This is a raw experience from
Oh
my end.
yeah,
Melbourne
definitely.
is beautiful. There's no doubt about it. But
Mhm.
if you're coming here to say you're resting, no more, you're not going to rest anything because you walk, walk,
You
you
work, oh,
understand.
even not even with
And you,
the type of rent you are paying. You have to work to pay it now.
yes,
Like
you have
the cost of
to,
living is
yeah.
quite on the high
So
side
the
compared.
rent is high,
Yeah.
and I've always said it's cheaper to even buy than to rent. To me, it's really cheaper to buy than to rent.
Because you're paying
So
somebody's house mortgage. Like
of
that's just
course
it's dead
you are.
money.
Of course
The
you are.
rent is
That's
dead
why
money.
I am really, as in I am on top of it to, yeah, do the needful, because you can't
Yeah.
continue paying someone's rent. So
And
that is
okay.
it with Melbourne. Melbourne is beautiful. You have, like, now we are doing winter in July. There's a lot of
Activities.
places to visit, sightseeing, things for kids and all that. You would enjoy Melbourne if you're here, but you have to work hard to cover up for some other things. Yeah. So living in regional area is quite way cheaper. It
Yeah.
has its
I
own
think that
advantage and disadvantage.
advantage, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think the last thing I wanted us to touch on was PR options and yeah, just PR options. I think you've addressed the job part because
Yeah.
my own understanding from my own what I understand is the fact that it's easier to get PR in regional area and that is what makes
Yes.
a lot of people like a lot of people living in regional area aside from saving costs the way you've explained it's easier for
Mm.
you as a new immigrant to go there so you can save. I also feel like a lot of people move to regional area because of the PR options you get.
Yes.
And like the 491 visa is just a regional visa and things like
Yes.
that. Can you just please shed more light on that? And
Yes, a lot of people have actually, like you said, moved from cities to, they don't really come to Queensland because most people feel Queensland is not that,
they're too stingy.
they are too stingy when it comes to PR. So a lot of people have moved to Northern Territory. A lot have moved
Yeah.
from this Melbourne, NSW, to Northern Territory, Tasmania,
Mm,
and some other place. But those two states are where most people are moving, and other people like students coming to study. Yes, like you said, if you study in regional area, you get additional 5 points to add to
yeah.
your immigration purpose. And
Yeah.
also, if you live there too, it also counts for you. So during that time, there was a mass exodus. I think it's 2019. There was 2019, 2020 before COVID. There was mass exodus of city people moving to those regional area, because if you stay there for 6 months and you find a job, you would have your you'll be eligible to apply for permanent residence. So that's
Oh,
the reason why most people are actually moving, because of the additional points they get if you're a student,
yeah.
or living there and finding a job there too would give you a leverage when it comes to your PR. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Thank you so much. I think even personally, I've learned a lot, and I hope you guys learn as well. If there's one thing I'm going to take away from chat would be the fact that if you are coming in as a new migrant, it is advisable. So for you not coming on a 482 visa or a job or any type of work
yes,
related visa that bounds you to work with a certain company in the metropolitan city, your best option is to go to the regional area, settle there, so you can even get your life together. Like buying a
Yeah.
house, for instance, requires a lot of money. So if you
Mhm.
go there, you're paying 315, 370 for a three-bed house. Best believe you can't pay that amount in Brisbane or in Melbourne. You'll pay
No.
way more than that. So if you start your life there, gather your funds together, settle in, and then eventually you can move. Like even imagine like Uche, for instance, they lived in Toowoomba for a few years before they eventually moved to
Yes.
Melbourne. So you have the options to move anywhere. So guys, it's really up to you. But I think that's one take home from me. If I have anybody coming here now, I need to tell them better go and live in the village first.
I yes.
Settle down.
I am telling everybody that ever chats me to,
Yeah.
except you have something you're doing in the city,
Okay.
really, or you
I
have
didn't
one
know that they will
dream.
get jobs. Like I'm surprised. Like I'm just hearing this for the first. My thinking is always that what will people be doing there? How will you get a job to do? But
No,
now,
when it comes to, I think we'll talk about this job thing. When it comes to office job, right? It
yeah,
is okay in the city because you will see it plenty. Like my husband works from home. Yeah, since we moved, he moved before us. He's been
yeah.
working from home. He only goes to office like once or twice in a week,
Oh, wow.
right?
Mhm.
Um, office, blue, white collar jobs and all that you would get, but when you just came in newly and you don't have a job and you want to start with all those care, that's where I'm pushing
Yeah,
because nursing and all that too.
mm,
You will
yeah.
see it more in the regional area because they say regional area is abroad for elderly people. Their parents are already there.
Oh, true.
Do you
Makes
understand? So
sense.
those you see more of
Okay, now it
those
makes
kind
sense.
of
I'm like, what would they be doing?
jobs there. And there is also competition in the regional area when it comes to that, but it's not as much as
Then as
in the
Melbourne
city because in the city, all the students are here, all the migrants are here, all the partners, visa holders are.
in the city.
You understand? So everybody is in the city, and that is the reason why the government too brought out this 491 and
Yeah,
494 and all that, so they can declutter a lot of people from the
city.
city back to the regional area. The only thing we are lacking in the regional area is means of transportation. You get, as per in the city, you have trams, you have trains, you have buses going from this suburb to that. That's
Mhm.
in Melbourne. But in where like regional area, Toowoomba number one, we only have a bus. And if you ever use a bus to drive or to go anywhere, you know you're going to be late. So in regional area, you would definitely need a car. But
Yeah.
here, you really don't need a car to move around.
No,
Yeah.
in Brisbane
So
you need a car. Also, Brisbane is not
yeah.
the transportation
So
system is not as good as like Melbourne or Sydney. I
yeah,
think.
Melbourne has trams and buses. Even me that is saying, "Oh, I'm leaving Toba to come and enter bus and tram." How many times have I even done that?
Oh,
Because that's what in Africa, Nigeria will be like, where you are here, another place will be hungry you. It's like that. You would
okay.
think where you are is not the best. You
You
don't
go
go
and
me wrong.
see
I love Melbourne. Is beautiful. I love Melbourne, but I cannot say that I've actually adjusted to how everything
what.
goes. And
Mm,
when it comes to pay too, me, I like money. I'm an Igbo woman. I believe that Queensland pays better when it comes to healthcare than,
really?
yes.
Top. Well, I feel that Melbourne is bigger than like Queensland is just
That
a.
you will pay more. Someone told me, there's one woman I call Mama. She told me that before we moved. I like, you don't know what you're talking about. She told me that my friend is living there, my half family is there, and this is what they say. And when I started looking for a job, I was just very, very angry. Like, what is all this doing? Am I going front or am I going
Am I
backwards?
going back?
Yeah.
Hey,
So
wow, wow, that's
you
interesting.
have to put all that in. Yeah. Apart from that, you like city life, you like going out, you like exploring and everything. Of course, you would choose Melbourne. That's why we are multicultural. I've seen a whole lot of different tribes, different countries here, more than the Aussies, as well. So,
But
yes.
same in Brisbane City as well. Like
Yeah.
you see a lot of people, and I even say that in my office, you can hardly like if you count five people.
Yeah.
everybody's from different countries, like five
Yes.
people, except some people are just doing meeting that they are doing their country meeting somewhere. But
Yes.
if you're just going randomly, you will see people from different countries.
So that is it.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and everything. Thanks for pointing to all of us. Guys, I'm going to link Uche's YouTube channel in the description box. Please make sure you do subscribe to our channel, and like any new migration update like this, just go to Uche's channel. She has it and you don't want to miss it. So when you go, make sure you subscribe, you click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. But that's it for today's video. Thanks once again, Uche. I really appreciate you. And guys,
Thank
don't
you.
forget to give this video a thumbs up. If you have any questions on whatever we've discussed today, drop it in the comment section. We'll try to respond as soon as we can. Sometimes, like, I don't promise immediately, but as soon as we can, we'll respond to your questions. So
Yeah.
thank you guys so much. We'll see you in I will see you in my next video. Bye.
Bye.